Let's be honest. For most of you watching this, the American dream has become a bit of a nightmare. You followed the rules, you got the degree, you landed the stable job, and you're pulling in a middle-class salary, maybe between that $52,000 and $156,000 range that Pew Research loves to talk about. But despite the decent paycheck, you feel like you're living on a razor's edge. You're running on a treadmill that someone keeps speeding up. You can thank your politicians for that. And deep down, you know that if you stop running for even a month, the whole house of cards collapses. That's because the middle class is currently being crushed. You are trading the best years of your life for a linear paycheck, and quite frankly, it's a travesty. If you want to move from the middle class to the upper class in the next 3 years, you have to stop playing by the rules that were designed to keep you dependent. You have to move from being a worker to an architect. Here is the blueprint, the myth of the hard worker. We have to start by killing a lie. The idea that the harder you work, the richer you get. If that were true, the hardest working people you know, teachers, nurses, construction workers, would be the wealthiest. In reality, the middle class is trapped in linear income. This is the time for money trap. You have 24 hours in a day. Even if you are a high-earning professional making $100 an hour, your income is still capped. You see, you are the engine of your wealth. And if you stop, so does the money. The upper class lives on leverage. They don't work harder. They build systems that work for them. They use other people's time, expertise, and prepackaged systems to scale their income. To do the same, you have to transition from being the operator of your life to being the architect of a system. Now, let's break down what you should do for each of the 3 years. Year 1, the income explosion building the talent stack. You cannot budget your way to the upper class on a $70,000 salary. You can be the most frugal person on earth, but if your income is low, your ceiling is low. Year 1 is about one thing, and that is a fence. To explain how this works, I want to introduce you to 2 people, Matt and Scott. Matt and Scott both work at the same tech company, earning $85,000 a year. They both want more. Matt decides to be the ultimate employee. He's the first one in, the last one out. He masters his specific job. Let's say he's a graphic designer. He becomes the best designer in the building. At the end of the year, his boss gives him a 5% raise. He's now making $89,250, but he's exhausted, and he's still middle class. Scott takes a different approach. He realizes that being the best at one thing is a crowded, brutal competition. Instead, Scott decides to build a talent stack. A talent stack is the idea that you don't need to be the top 1% in the world at one thing. You just need to be in the top 25% at 2 or 3 different things that, when combined, make you a unicorn. Scott is a decent designer, currently his only skill. But over 6 months, he spends his evenings learning sales and persuasion. Now he's got a second skill, and basic data analysis, his third skill now. Suddenly, Scott isn't just a designer competing with every freelancer on the planet. He is a conversion specialist who can design an interface, analyze the data of why people aren't clicking, and sell the solution to a CEO. By the end of year 1, Scott isn't asking for a 5% raise. He's pivoting to a new role, or starting a side agency that pays him $180,000 because his combined value is unique. You see, your year 1 goal should be identify 2 skills that amplify your current career, and spend the next 12 months becoming pretty good at them. This is how you break the linear income ceiling. Year 2, the wealth machine automated execution. In year 2, something dangerous happens. Your new talent stack starts paying off. The checks get bigger. This is where most people fall into the lifestyle creep trap. They see the extra $5,000 a month and immediately buy a car with a $1,200 monthly payment. They've just traded their new freedom for a shiny piece of metal. But to move to the upper class, You must maintain your year 1 lifestyle while your year 2 income soars. This creates a wealth gap, the space between what you earn and what you spend. This is the year you build your money machine. The middle class treats investing like a hobby, something they do if there's money left at the end of the month. The upper class treats investing like a non-negotiable bill they owe to their future self. You need to automate. You don't want to think about investing. You set up an automatic transfer to a high-performing broad market index fund like the S&P 500. As we've discussed in the past, leaving your wealth in a standard savings account is essentially letting inflation set fire to your hard work. In year 2, your goal is to live on 50% or less of your income. The other 50% goes into your investments. By the end of this year, you should start seeing passive gains. Money your money made while you were sleeping. It might only be $200 or $500 a month at first, but that is the most important money you will ever earn because you didn't have to trade an hour of your life for it. Year 3, leverage and sovereignty. By year 3, you have a high income and a growing pile of capital. Now it's time to stop playing by middle-class rules entirely. Year 3 is about sovereignty. In the middle class, debt is a scary word associated with credit cards and car loans. In the upper class, debt is a tool. We call this good debt. This is when you use leverage to acquire assets. Instead of just buying stocks, you might use a mortgage to control a $500,000 real estate asset with only $100,000 of your own money. If that property goes up 5% in value, you didn't make 5% on your $100,000. You made 25%. That is how the wealth gap widens. This is also the year you upgrade your defensive assets. When you start moving into the upper class, your biggest enemy isn't the stock market, it's taxes and liability. You hire a professional tax strategist, not just a guy who files your returns. You look into legal structures like LLCs to protect your assets. You start looking at your time differently. The upper class buys back their time. If your talent stack makes you $150 an hour, why are you spending 2 hours mowing your lawn to save $50? You outsource the low-value tasks so you can focus 100% of your energy on high IQ moves, building your business, deepening your skills, or spending quality time with your family. The psychology of breaking the matrix. There is a final, unspoken truth about this 3-year journey. It will be lonely. The middle class is built on fitting in. It's built on having the same brands, watching the same shows, and complaining about the same Monday blues as everyone else. When you decide to leave the matrix, you are opting out of that culture. You'll be the person who says no to the expensive group vacation because you're funding your war chest. You'll be the person studying a new skill on a Saturday morning while your friends are nursing hangovers. But remember the financial hierarchy of needs. Most people spend their entire lives stuck at the bottom 2 levels: physiological survival and basic safety. They are always one paycheck away from disaster. By following this plan, you are moving towards self-actualization, the top of the pyramid. This is where money ceases to be a source of stress and becomes a tool for impact. It's the ability to wake up at 8 a.m., not because an alarm went off, but because you are excited to work on something you actually care about. Well, thank you so much for watching, and please like and subscribe for more content like this. With that said, have a great day, and see you in the next one.